You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. The next portrait in ridiculousness starring Clarissa Shields, who's telling Laila Ali, eat your words amid a fight call-out.
She's been doing this for years.
The July 11th trilogy fight between Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor was an iconic event from start to finish. It was an all-women's card that took place at MSG in New York City, was broadcasted by Netflix, and set a Guinness World Record for the most world championship belts ever contested, 17, although it would have been 21 if ring belts were included in the total, in a single boxing event. Many luminaries in the women's boxing sphere were in attendance, such as the loudmouth Clarissa Shields, along with Laila Ali, who is arguably the greatest female boxer in history. When Ali was asked if she'd consider coming out of retirement, bear in mind, she's 47 years old and hasn't boxed since 2007, to fight Shields, she said,
at Clarissa Shields, there's rumors that you're going to come back and fight her. What?
Where'd that rumor come from?
Everybody's talking about it.
You know what rumor I heard? The rumor that I heard was that I said that unless somebody had 15, 20 million, don't even call me about this. That's all
Turkey
I heard.
has that money. Turkey's going to set this up.
I said unless somebody calls me and says they have it, we're not even going to have a conversation. I'm not trying to come back and fight, but if someone offered that kind of money, I would actually have to think about it.
I'll talk to Turkey tonight.
Do I look like I could fight again?
Yes, you do.
Yes. I think so too.
Clarissa Shields clearly caught wind of Ali's comments as she made a July 13th X post that wrote, "What a great weekend of boxing, really motivated. Now Laila Ali, I'm the greatest now. Be careful what you ask for. You know I've been wanting to make you eat your words. You're not a better boxer than me, and at 175, I'll put you on your back. I've been ready for you. #GWOAT."
This would be like, I don't know, Canelo Alvarez calling a now-retired Joe Calzaghe.
Or Inoue calling out a now-retired Eric Morales. The first question would be, why is a fighter who's all in their prime calling out a retiree that hasn't boxed in years? Though when it comes to Clarissa Shields, the more popular periodicals and members of the media are scared to say what we're all thinking. What is this woman, a moron?
And one other thing I notice about where American fighters seem to differ from other fighters from other countries from other countries seem to have a respect and a veneration for the legends that came before them, whereas Americans,
I don't see the Brits doing this kind of stuff, or the Eastern Europeans, or the Asians, or the Mexicans. No, it's only the Americans that would go as far as calling out a fighter that hasn't boxed in approximately 18 years, close to 2 decades, at 47 years old. The other day, I saw Shakur Stevenson taking shots at the late, great Sugar Ray Robinson, often regarded as the father of the pound for pound, and here you see Clarissa taking shots at a long-retired Laila Ali, who's 47? Going on 48 years old, close to 50?
ridiculous.
And she is allowed to be this ridiculous because the more popular periodicals and members of the media don't call her out on her bullshit. How do you justify this? How do you justify pursuing a fight with a fighter that's been retired for almost 20 years? The way Clarissa justifies it is by likening it to Jake Paul's fight with Mike Tyson, saying, if Mike Tyson at 58 can fight against Jake Paul at 27, I don't know why y'all are scared for Laila, 47, versus me, Shields, 30.
Wait a minute, so she's likening herself to Jake Paul?
She thinks she bad, right? I've been telling her, if she wants to prove she's so much better skilled than me and's got so much power, come do it. Don't start copying please now.
What a fucking ratchet.
Ghetto trash with no situational awareness. That's what Clarissa Shields is. I don't care about her gold medals or all the vacant titles she won in empty weight classes. She's ghetto trash.
Think about what she's likening this fight to. You're likening it to Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, except that Jake Paul was widely criticized for for fighting that aged version of Mike Tyson. There were many people who were against it.
Not that Clarissa Shields is a big fan of Jake Paul, because she's not. She takes shots at him all the time, criticizes him all the time. So why are you now taking cues from him? Being a double Olympic gold medalist, aren't you supposed to hold yourself to a higher standard? A 3-time undisputed champion in the paid ranks.
You're likening yourself to a social media influencer who picked up boxing much later on in life. He moonlights as a boxer, and this is your justification.
The guy you take shots at all the time, the guy you criticize all the time. What I think it is that Clarissa Shields can't get down to those lower weights like 154, 160, and 168 so easily anymore.
She's 30 years old now.
Either she can't or she doesn't want to. She just wants to sit tight at heavyweight in what is a barren, empty division where there's nobody else to fight, so she resorts to calling out a retired Laila Ali.
That's fucking pathetic.
The more popular periodicals and more popular members of the media won't say it, but I will. That's ridiculous. This has got to be a goddamn joke. Is the heavyweight division so barren? Is there so much nothing there that you resort to calling out a woman that hasn't boxed in 18 years?
Ridiculous.
Well, there was at least one guy who called her out on it. The tyrannical tweeter said, "You just want that easy paycheck. Lose some weight and move to a better division if you have the discipline to make the weight, which you don't." To which Clarissa Shields responded, "You wasn't saying I had no discipline when I was at 154 and 160 and 168. You wasn't saying nothing." To which Tyrannical responded, "You're in a division with no talent. Nobody watches you anymore at heavyweight because the fights are too easy. If you want the money, move down and meet more popular fighters at a lower weight if you can." Serrano and Taylor have made a combined $31 million fighting each other. They no longer need to fight anymore and can retire whenever they want and never have to worry about money again. You will never make that money at heavyweight.
Never.
You know, people don't give Jake Paul credit for fighting the version of Mike Tyson that he fought. Many people don't even view that as a real fight. So why would they give you credit for Laila? Why would they view that as a real fight? It goes against everything that's supposed to make boxing competitive. Accenting what is the real catalyst of Shields' would-be greatness, she's fighting in divisions that are largely not competitive, divisions that don't team with talent, allowing us to now segue to what is fast becoming one of the more popular segments here on the channel, Ring IQ Hate Mail.
Big Clarissa Shields fan that goes by the name Last of a Dying Breed said, "Salute to the women, great show. Why do you gotta go to Clarissa? Damn, you keep her pussy in your mouth.
Ew.
And you don't have to. I was feeling the message, then here you go speaking on your women crush."
Woman crush, she's butt ugly, inside and out.
It's starting to get sad. How is she all about herself? She saluted Holly Holm for her ring return and Lady Hammer coming back when she saluted her.
She took a dump over all the girls that boxed on Friday. Or did you miss that part while running spin for one of the most disliked athletes in their entire sport?
You're just making up lies. I'm convinced you tried to smash or begged for an interview and she curved you.
Is that supposed to be an attempt at humor? Because I've never once asked Clarissa for an interview. I don't want to hear Clarissa Shields talk, much less talk to her. I don't find her the least bit attractive. Now maybe you and your low standards do.
That is a bald head heifer shaped like a bag of laundry. Laila Ali, that's attractive. Alicia Baumgartner, Tam Tebow.
Well, you swoon over any ghetto ratchet with a big butt. And this is what they do. They get mad at you for telling the truth and accuse you of being a liar.
That entire segment was centered around Clarissa Shields taking a dump on every fighter that fought on Friday, saying that she's better than all of them.
To which I queried, just imagine if Katie Taylor looked at the all-women's show that Clarissa's about to have, attended it, and said the exact same thing. Just imagine if she said that about all the women fighters on the Price versus Jonas card.
Or the Shields versus Marshall card, but Katie would never do that, because Katie's not a ratchet. Katie's not a ghetto piece of trash. like Clarissa, and that's the only reason you like her.
Amanda would never do that. Amanda would never look at an all-women show and say, well, I'm better than all of those girls.
No, only yuck-mouth Clarissa would do that. Her few fans that she has make her out to be the victim.
Saying that she was at an all-women's card, bought a ticket, not a gift seat, but she's all about herself? You're not black, so you wouldn't understand us.
I don't need to be black to speak English. I saw what she said loud and clear, and she took a dump on every girl boxing on that show. Buying a ticket doesn't make it right.
Being black doesn't make it right, but that's how your mind works. The rest of the world doesn't agree with you. Asking how do you know what sponsors she's got? Well, what major brands does she advertise? Because the thing about having sponsors, corporate sponsorships, is they use you as a brand ambassador. Like Hugo Boss and Range Rover used Anthony Joshua, like Box Raw uses Sky Nicholson. What major brands want Clarissa Shields attached to them? Show me!
And the Serrano's got a good number of car commercials.
And smartphone commercials. Where are Clarissa's?
Nowhere, because no major brands want to use her. She's repulsive.
Only ghetto trash finds her and her behavior permissible, and don't confuse being ghetto with being black, because those aren't the same thing. You ain't the ambassador for everybody, and she sure as hell ain't, because most people don't like her.
You talk about it getting sad, here's sad. You're trying to excuse obnoxious behavior with being some kind of mystery. Oh, it's because you're not the same race as me.
It's some kind of Da Vinci Code that needs to be cracked. Somebody call Tom Hanks.
Spare me your DEI bullshit. You only go up to bat for her because she's the same race as you, expecting the whole world to care.
What are you gonna do, gatekeep my opinions now? Tell me what I should think about this yuck mouth? Why don't you take a cue from your old buddy Clarissa and actually go to her fight? Because she needs you to.
Don't worry about me and this channel. You already know what I think, and it's not gonna change for you.
Go support your girl. Somebody needs to, because she debuted the same year as Katie Taylor, and Katie has moved from strength to strength. The fights, the fight purses, they've gotten progressively bigger.
The platform, the profile.
While Clarissa's still boxing in half-empty arenas and empty divisions, fancying herself the greatest woman of all times for doing it.
Why are you mad?
I'm just giving it to you straight, because it's the only way I know how to give it to you.
In men's lightweight news, preliminary reports suggest that Turkey El Al Sheikh said he loved William Zepeda's performance, even though he lost, against Shakur Stevenson, and is now talking to his team to set up his next fight.
I want to make a few things clear that even though Shakur Stevenson fought his ass off and handled the pressure well, the fight's aesthetic and why the fight was exciting, it wasn't because of Shakur, it was because of William. It's because William kept the pressure on from round 1 to round 12. And that's exciting. That's what people want to see, in victory or defeat. Why is it that a Mexican fighter can take a loss and it doesn't really even hurt their stock, as opposed to an American fighter who might lose their O and most of their support in the process?
Why is that?
Well, it's because Mexican fighters don't often go around disrespecting the legends that came before them like an American fighter would, like Shakur Stevenson just did with Sugar Ray Robinson.
That's one.
People don't like stuff like that because you're talking about somebody that can't even defend themselves because they're dead.
And even if they're not, even if they're still around but they're retired, it's the same thing.
Whilst you glorify yourself and put yourself on a pedestal, why is it that some foreign fighters, in this instance a Mexican, can take a loss, but it doesn't really hurt their stock? Well, it's because the Mexican fighters aren't as overhyped as the American ones.
So Devin Haney fancies himself this era's Floyd Mayweather. Shakur Stevenson thinks Sugar Ray Robinson is buns, but he's the best thing since sliced bread.
You don't hear Mexican fighters say things like this about Finito Lopez or Eric Morales, Marco Antonio Barrera, Salvador Sanchez.
They don't take shots at the legends that came before them, but the American fighters do.
To the point where people don't really like those American fighters, and should one of those American fighters ever have a lackluster showing or worse, take a loss, nobody's gonna feel sorry for them. That's the difference.
I remember Deontay Wilder used to say that he was better than Mike Tyson. Bear in mind, he's nowhere near the iconoclast that Mike Tyson was in his heyday and even now. But I remember that he said he's better than Mike.
Except he doesn't hold any world records like Mike Tyson does for being the youngest heavyweight champion in the history of boxing. We know he wasn't unified like Mike, undisputed like Mike.
We know he wasn't the same draw that Mike Tyson was, nowhere near.
So that when a Deontay Wilder gets bullied by a Fury and flatlined by a Zhang, nobody feels sorry for him. Thus, if you're wondering, why is it that foreign fighters can take a loss and it doesn't hurt their stock the same way it would hurt an American? It's because the Americans are overhyped and often overhype themselves.
So when they don't live up to the hype, and most of them don't, people let them know. And just in keeping with the theme of American fighters that don't live up to the hype, Edgar Berlanga's excuse for losing to Hamza Shiraz the way that he did, glove tempering, funny business, Hamza Shiraz's trainer, Andy Ree, addressed those rumors saying, incorrect. I'm Hamza's coach. I wrapped his hands. The commission wouldn't allow me to cut the second wrap off after the fight. Both the commission and Berlanga's coach wanted me to wrap Hans's hands and inspected all gauze and tape used.
To which Edgar's wife Genesis responded, yes, the wraps were signed by the commission, but even though the New York State Athletic Commission signed off, we have to ask, how did this get approved again? Edgar went 12 rounds with Canelo and came out looking better than he did here. That says a lot.
Yeah, that says that triangle theories don't work, but you don't know what a triangle theory is.
Roberto Duran was viciously stopped by Tommy Hearns. But that same Roberto Duran gave Marvin Hagler a hard fight. The same Marvin Hagler who knocked out Tommy Hearns.
You understand?
John Ryder had a better showing against Canelo than he did against Jaime Munguia. Jaime Munguia stopped him, but that same Jaime Munguia was handled easily by Canelo. In layman's terms, because your husband was able to go the distance with Canelo, that doesn't speak to the Hamza Shiraz fight, because Canelo and Hamza are not the same fighter in any way, in terms of styles, in terms of build.
The only reason your husband came out better in the Canelo fight than the Shiraz fight is because he spent 36 minutes running from Canelo. Whereas with Hamza, it is a little harder to run away because he's a taller guy. Longer legs make for longer strides, longer arms make for a longer jab.
Your husband tried to stay out of the way of that jab, and he couldn't. Hamza's got too much ring coverage, so that when he comes forward and tries to trade on the inside...
That's another thing he did differently in the Shiraz fight than the Canelo fight. He didn't want to stay on the inside with Canelo at all. He didn't want to trade, least of all after he got knocked down. But with Hamza, he tried it,
and he got outgunned. Put simply, you don't need to cheat to beat an Edgar Berlanga. It's a hard pill to swallow for him and those close to him. There's no foul play at work. There doesn't need to be to beat a protected fighter. And the entire boxing community knows that Edgar was a protected fighter.
It's not a national incident. It's not a murder mystery. It's simple. You got found out, and it was only a matter of time.
Now, you want to go making baseless accusations about Hamza Shiraz's wraps or Hamza Shiraz's gloves or whatever it is, based on your own ignorance. I said it before, and I'll say it again. You better be careful hurling accusations like that about a Frank Warren fighter.
Frank's got a pretty good track record in the court, and he doesn't take kindly to slander or libel.
You and your husband are embarrassed, and that's all it is. A foreign fighter who he took a dump on came to his city, his neck of the woods, and embarrassed him. In front of what was his home crowd, he laid him out like a pair of Sunday slacks.
Just a couple of sore losers, and in the sport of boxing, there's no shortage of sore losers.